Yukon Iron Plate Kitchen. Welcome back to another episode. You're gonna have to bear with me on this one. I had a moron attack, was trying out some new equipment, and did not properly sync a microphone, so I recorded this whole video with no audio. So, on this episode, we're gonna cook a Irish-inspired Guinness beef stew. First thing you're gonna need is roughly 3 pounds of beef chuck. As you can see here in this video, we're going to cut that into approximately 1 inch squares. First, you're cutting it into strips, and then you're going to square it off. On your chunk of meat, you will also want to go through and cut off any large areas of excess fat. As you can see, my piece is missing a large chunk out of the bottom there, had a large section of fat. So you'll want to get rid of that. Next up, after you get your meat cut, you're going to want to prep your Instapot or your Dutch oven if that's what you're cooking in. After that, you'll grab your bacon and you will slice that up. You can dice it or slice it into roughly 1/2 to 1 inch pieces. And then once you get that diced and you get your pot hot enough, you're going to place in some olive oil. Once it gets hot, it starts to smoke a little, you'll place your bacon in, and you're going to cook your bacon long enough to where it is cooked, but not fully cooked enough to the point where it is crispy. You're going to want to keep an eye on that, stir it around a little bit. You're not going to pay any attention to the stuff that's sticking to the bottom of the pan. Just keep your bacon moving around so it is cooking and doesn't get burnt or too crispy. Once you get all of your bacon removed and placed on a plate, you can set that off to the side. And then that's when you will add a little bit more olive oil if your pan is dry. And then you will set your chunks of chuck roast in there and cook them. You're going to want to set those in there and cook them until they get a nice sear or a char on all sides. You're going to want to sear those to where they look like this right here, have a nice little bit of color to them. What that does is it locks in the flavor. That way when you go to actually start the stew, it seals in extra flavor and keeps them juicy. They don't dry out as easily. Once you achieve that color on all sides, you're going to want to remove that from the pan. Set it off to the side as well with your bacon. Then you will add in your diced onions. They do not have to be finely diced, just chop them up to your desired size. Then you will add in your sliced mushrooms. Same goes with those. No specific size, which however you like them. Once you get it in there, you're going to stir it around. You let those cook for roughly 4 to 5 minutes until they get soft and the onions start to get translucent. Again, keep an eye on those so they don't burn. Once your onions are translucent, you're going to put in 4 cloves of minced garlic or 4 tablespoons. I cheated and went with the already minced garlic. That's what I had on hand. Once you get that in there, you will stir that around until it becomes fragrant and your house begins to smell like garlic pretty much. Once that happens, it's when you're going to add in your flour. Once you get your flour dumped in, you're going to stir that around and you're going to notice that all the grease and everything starts to be soaked up by the flour and it will start to look super dry. You might even notice that some of the residual that was sticking to the bottom of the pan is coming off a little bit in clumps. If that does begin to happen, that is perfectly fine because I'm about to show you a trick. What you're going to do is you're going to take your Guinness and you will pour that in there, and that will help loosen anything that is sticking to the bottom of the pan. Once you get your Guinness poured in, you'll stir it around and incorporate that in, at which time you'll add 2 tablespoons of tomato paste. You'll then incorporate that around in with your beer, flour, and everything. At which time, once that's incorporated, you will drop in your chopped celery and carrots. And again, once you get your celery and carrots in there, you will mix that all around to get everything mixed up nice and good. Once you get that mixed up, you can grab your bowl or pan that you set your meat on, and you will dump your meat and all the remaining juices in that bowl into your vegetables, and you will also grab your bacon and drop that in. You'll then grab your spatula, and once again you will stir and incorporate everything all together. Once that's done, you'll grab 4 cups of chicken broth and pour that in. That should be enough to cover all of the ingredients inside with the liquid. Once you get your chicken broth in, you will then grab your diced potatoes and place those in the broth. And once again, once those are in, you will stir to incorporate that evenly throughout the stew. Once you get that all incorporated, you'll then grab your good old Worcestershire sauce, put 2 teaspoons of that in, and grab your lid, and you'll seal. Once you have that sealed, you'll let that cook on a high pressure for 30 minutes. Once your 30 minutes is up, you will let the pressure release naturally for at least 15 minutes to ensure that the meat stays tender. Get yourself a bowl and a spoon and ladle that out and enjoy.